Have you ever wondered why cutting carbs seems to help so many people lose weight? Or why that pasta dinner seems to go straight to your waistline? Today we're diving deep into the science of how carbohydrates turn into fat, and trust me, understanding this process might just change the way you think about food forever. I'm here at ThinWorks in Palm Beach Gardens, and this is one of the most common questions we get from our clients. So let's break it down in a way that actually makes sense. First, let's talk about what happens the moment you take a bite of that bread, pasta, or even that seemingly healthy granola bar. Your body immediately starts breaking down those carbohydrates into their simplest form, which is glucose. Think of glucose as your body's preferred fuel source. It's like premium gasoline for your cells. Now, here's where it gets interesting. When that glucose enters your bloodstream, your pancreas releases insulin. Insulin is like a key that unlocks your cells, allowing glucose to enter and be used for energy. Your brain needs it, your muscles need it, every cell in your body runs on this stuff. But here's the thing that most people don't understand. Your body has a priority system for what it does with that glucose. First priority, use it immediately for energy. If you're walking, thinking, breathing, or doing anything that requires energy, your body will burn that glucose right away. This is the ideal scenario. Second priority, storage for later. Your body is smart. It knows you're not going to be eating every single minute of the day. So it stores some of that glucose as glycogen in your liver and muscle. Think of glycogen as your body's savings account. It's readily available energy that can be accessed quickly when you need it. Now here's the critical part that most people miss. Your glycogen storage is limited. You can only store about 1,000 calories worth of glycogen total. That's roughly 400 to 500 grams combined in your liver and your muscles. Once those storage tanks are full, your body has a problem. What do we do with all this extra glucose? And this is where the fat storage process begins. When your glycogen stores are maxed out and you're still consuming more carbohydrates than your body needs for immediate energy, your body activates a process called de novo lipogenesis. That's a fancy scientific term that literally means making new fat. Here's how it works. That excess glucose gets shuttled to your liver, where it undergoes a complex biochemical transformation. Your liver converts that glucose into fatty acids through a series of enzymatic reactions. These fatty acids are then packaged into triglycerides, which are the storage form of fat. These triglycerides don't just hang out in your liver though. They get packaged into particles and transported through your bloodstream to your fat cells, also called adipocytes. And once they arrive at those fat cells, they're stored for long-term energy reserves. Basically, your body is saying, we might need this someday, so let's save it. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but I don't eat that much. How is this happening to me? And this is where the type of carbohydrates you're eating becomes absolutely crucial. Not all carbohydrates are created equal. There are simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates, and the difference between them is like night and day when it comes to fat storage. Simple carbohydrates are found in foods like white bread, white pasta, white rice, pastries, candy, soda, and most processed foods. These are digested incredibly quickly. When you eat simple carbs, your blood sugar spikes rapidly, which triggers a massive insulin response. Your body essentially goes into panic mode, trying to deal with all that glucose flooding your system at once. And here's the problem. That rapid spike is almost always followed by a rapid crash. You know that feeling, right? You eat a bagel for breakfast, feel energized for about an hour, and then you're starving and exhausted by mid-morning. That's the simple carb roller coaster. When your blood sugar spikes that dramatically, your body often can't use all that glucose fast enough, so it gets converted into fat. Plus, that insulin spike actually promotes fat storage and inhibits fat burning. That's why it's a double whammy. Complex carbohydrates, on the other hand, are found in vegetables, whole grains, beans, lentils, nuts, and sweet potatoes. These contain fiber, which slows down digestion. When you eat complex carbs, your blood sugar rises more gradually, insulin is released in a controlled manner, and your body has time to actually use that glucose for energy instead of immediately storing it as fat. Think of it this way. Simple carbs are like dumping a bucket of water on a small plant. Most of it runs off and goes to waste. Complex carbs are like a slow drip irrigation system. The plant can actually absorb and use what it needs. Now, let's talk about refined carbohydrates, because this is where a lot of confusion happens. Refined carbs are typically simple carbohydrates that have been processed and stripped of their fiber and nutrients. White flour, for example, starts as whole wheat, but then the refining process removes the bran and germ, leaving just the starchy endosperm. What you're left with is essentially pure, rapidly digestible starch that behaves just like sugar in your body. This is why whole wheat bread is better than white bread, brown rice is better than white rice, and steel-cut oats are better than instant oatmeal. The less processed, the better. But here's something really important to understand. The conversion of carbohydrates to fat isn't actually very efficient. Your body loses about 25 to 30% of the energy during this conversion process. So your body actually prefers not to do this. it would much rather burn the carbs directly or store them as glycogen. So why does it happen so often? Because we're eating way more carbohydrates than our bodies were designed to handle, especially refined and simple carbs. Our ancestors didn't have access to bread, pasta, and sugar 24/7. They ate carbohydrates seasonally, mostly from fruit and vegetables, and their bodies were much better at managing glucose. Today, the average American consumes upwards of 300 grams of carbohydrates per day, and much of that comes from refined sources. That's way more than our glycogen stores can handle, which means the excess is constantly being converted to fat. So what can you do about this? How do you prevent carbohydrates from turning into fat? First, focus on the quality of your carbohydrates. Choose complex carbs over simple carbs whenever possible. Load up on vegetables, which are low in calories but high in fiber and nutrients. Choose whole grains over refined grains. And limit your intake of processed foods, which are almost always loaded with refined carbs and added sugars. Second, pay attention to timing and portion sizes. You don't need to eliminate carbs completely, but you do need to be strategic. If you're going to eat a higher carb meal, make it when you're most active. Your body will use that glucose for energy instead of storing it as fat. And third, combine your carbs with protein and healthy fat. This slows down digestion and prevents those dramatic blood sugar spikes. A piece of fruit with almond butter is much better than fruit juice alone. Fourth, stay active. Exercise depletes your glycogen stores, which means your body has somewhere to put those carbohydrates besides your fat cells. Even a 30-minute walk after a meal can make a significant difference in how your body processes carbs. And finally, consider working with professionals who understand the science of weight loss and can create a personalized plan for you. At ThinWorks, we specialize in helping people understand exactly how their bodies process food and creating strategies that actually work for long-term weight loss. The bottom line is this: carbohydrates don't automatically turn into fat, but when you eat more than your body can use or store as glycogen, especially from refined and simple sources, the excess will be converted into fat and stored in your adipose tissue. Understanding this process is the first step towards making better choices and finally achieving the weight loss results you've been working toward. If you're struggling with weight loss and you're tired of conflicting information, we'd love to help. Visit thinworks.com to learn more about our physician-supervised weight loss programs here in Palm Beach Gardens, or call us at 561-235-0100 to schedule your free consultation. Thanks for watching, and remember, your weight loss journey is finally over when you understand the science behind it.